Bitcoin was born off of the lows of the 2008-2009 US financial crisis and global recession, and since then has lived roughly 12 years within the context of traditional market prosperity. Every time within traditional markets there's a large downturn, there's a very, very aggressive rebound to the upside. Therefore, within those 12 years, has had a pillow of prosperity. Even within that pillow of prosperity, Bitcoin has been met with very scary lows throughout its few cycles here. What would happen though? Ask yourself this question. What would happen if Bitcoin is on the verge of diving in to cycle lows as that general context of pillow of prosperity is also on the brink of changing? I guess there are about three general options. First is the middle option. Nothing really changes, and Bitcoin is relatively unaffected within the monthly time frame or larger time frame. Two, the pillow of prosperity. Without it, you remove it. Bitcoin and all of crypto seriously gets its butt kicked. Or the last option is that perhaps that is what is needed in order to draw a wider audience from traditional markets over to Bitcoin, and the lack of pillar of prosperity of the traditional markets could be what's needed in order to bring more adoption to crypto. However, I wanted to show you something that on the butt kicking option, there are some pretty big warning signs that there could be a pretty damn big cleansing coming for crypto, where you can't just snap your fingers and say, I'm a new company worth $8 billion, put me on coin market cap. This is my coin circ, and this is how much all the coins are worth each. Therefore, like ICP came out, I'm worth $8 billion, right off the top. There might be a great cleansing coming, potentially, and I'm not saying this is the option that's going to happen, but I want to show you some things in the charts that a major crypto butt kicking could be on the verge of happening, depending on what happens with traditional markets. So you ready? Let's go. This is Bitcoin on the 5-day chart. I have an EMA fill indicator, which flips red when the 21 EMA goes below the 55 EMA. When it's red, that means the 21 EMA is below the 55. Look at the trend. When it flips red, that is when the downturn starts accelerating. See that? Okay, this is now I'm going to zoom in to current price. Look at what's about ready to happen. About ready to flip red. That's what I'm talking about here. It looks like Bitcoin is on the verge of entering what would be considered a normal cycle low, not meeting lows next month, but it's going to begin its aggressive descent to the downside for an extended period of time is what this chart, you can very, very simply tell, that's what that's indicating, right? And again, each time it's done this, it's been within the pillow of prosperity of traditional markets, right? You following me? Now, let's go do the same thing. I believe it's going to be the exact same time frame too on the NASDAQ composite here. In the past, when things were relatively heated on these origin lines. So you see how these origin lines in the past, back in the 70s, a lot of price action was at the top. Then you had a blow off, obviously, in 2000, right? Everything just went crazy with essentially internet companies doing what crypto does today, particularly in 2017. So 2017 crypto outside of Bitcoin was the same thing. Companies becoming companies without a product and without revenue, right? And people essentially betting on it and everything going up. And then it all came tumbling, house cards came tumbling down. But so starting from this point here, look how many times that same band has flipped red. Once, twice. Since then, pillow of prosperity. Look at this. And guess what date that is? This is Bitcoin's frickin' birthday. So check it out. Born off of the lows of the Lehman Brothers, crash and the financial crisis of U.S., which essentially caused a global recession. Bitcoin was born here. And since then, this blue pillow of prosperity has been the context of Bitcoin and all of its lows. What happens, though, if Bitcoin, is getting ready to go in its own market cycle depths while this is about to end? Think about it. Take a look. Look at this. This could be about ready to flip red, maybe not as deep as this, because this was a blow off top. I wouldn't expect anything similar to this. I wouldn't necessarily expect something as drastically fast as this, because we don't have, the banking sector taking unlimited risk without actual risk, because they get, I guess Dodd-Frank, has done at least some type of good within the market. I don't think that would happen necessarily to that degree. It wouldn't necessarily look the same as these. But if this flips red and stays red for a while, this is coming down for years. At least a couple. Or a year and a half or so. And so the pillow of prosperity, this blue stuff, is going to be gone. While Bitcoin is going to be starting that acceleration to the downside. And I wanted to show you this. A lot of people are thinking that those 10K numbers for Bitcoin are unreasonable. And, I've said this. I've personally said this, right? I've said out loud, it's a little too early to even seriously consider those numbers right now. It's too far out. But I think this disagrees with that. It really could be. Now, again, there are those three, general options, and maybe there are more options. I really don't know. I'm kind of pulling this out of my butt, but in general, up, down, or sideways, right? Those are the three ways things could go. And what one obvious thing is, it's fighting, fire on top of fire makes more. If you put wood on the fire, it gets bigger. And that taking out that pillow of prosperity in traditional markets while Bitcoin's accelerating to the downside could be really, really bad. And that a lot of those 2017 shitcoins are still, lingering around. I mean, what we're about to see, it could end up being, perhaps only on a wick, and then Bitcoin bounces right back up to 17K or something to that effect. I'm not saying Bitcoin hangs around for 10K for a while, but I think this is a huge warning sign. I guess a fourth option is that crypto does get its butt kicking. There is a huge cleansing, but then because of the rebound of crypto, as traditional markets band, so let's say, wrong one. Let's say this band does flip red and Bitcoin, as this is red here and stays red, Bitcoin somewhere in the middle of this over a year and a half, 1.5 to 3 year time frame, somewhere in the middle, hits some drastic lows, 10K, rebounds heavily. Those gains off the lows make Bitcoin start charging up while this maintains its red posture without a pillow of prosperity. And then that is what attracts adoption from people over in traditional markets, because they're not getting gains. So if this flips red and stays red for an extended period of time, somewhere between this option and that option, traditional market folks are going to want to put their money where gains are being made. So in order for gains to be made, there might have to be a case where there's a super cleansing of crypto. It bounces hard off the lows, and that hard bounce off the lows and maintain upward posture is what attracts traditional market money to come over Bitcoin. So I guess that would be a fourth option, and that might be exactly what happens, folks. This could go a lot lower, get really, a lot scarier than what people are thinking, but that might be what's needed in order to bring a lot of money over from traditional markets. That could be it. And a lot of folks are thinking, even within my community and me myself, it's hard to imagine Bitcoin staying way under 30K. But if you look at this chart over here, look. It's about ready to flip red, and it's just barely over 30K now. This is so when this flips red is when the second half or more than half of the down move is going to go. And it's just lingering right above 30K now as it's flipping red. So this chart right here, this visual, you should be able to see this. It actually says it's kind of silly to think Bitcoin won't go under 30K for extended periods of time. I mean, look at this evidence. It suggests it's pretty silly to even, and it's suggesting that it's saying it's perhaps improbable that it does stay above 30K. I think it's got this chart, this one indicator here, says it has a slim chance to stay above 30K for extended periods of time here and not live much time below 30K. That's what this is saying. And there's a ton of support all the way down here in this general area. And that's like 14 to 17K, all that area, right? Or even 12 to 17K. But if you dive down there, you get a wick, some type of capitulation, and that would be your 10K. I'm not saying do 10K for months and on end. There'd probably be some major, like, ridiculous bounce. But if you think it's impossible for that to happen, you might want to think again. Think of that pillar of prosperity. Think of that band on Bitcoin getting ready to flip red at the same time. Bad stuff could be brewing for traditional markets. And so what this could mean for you is, yeah, there's money to be made to the downside, right? But where money is to be made, it's not necessarily right in this type of context. Dollar cost averaging and holding for years into altcoins. All this stuff together here is suggesting that would be ludicrous and perhaps among the worst strategies at this time, and maybe waiting and being very patient from a year scale or year and a half scale is going to be a lot better, assuming that you're not interested in trading. And hopefully this is an okay warning sign for you if you're a person who thinks, oh, I'm dollar cost averaging, I'm buying dips. I mean, you might reconsider. And I'm seeing that out there on crypto Twitter, crypto YouTube. What dips are you buying? What, every time Bitcoin's going down, what dips are you buying? How long is everybody going to be saying that? It keeps making lower lows. And some of the larger accounts out there, particularly crypto Twitter, where people can hide their, hide behind a screen name instead of being a content producer with, his or her face out there, like YouTubers. But on crypto Twitter, it's just, what'd you buy? What'd you buy? What'd you buy? I don't know. I think that, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep asking that question down to 10K? Like, what? And you might strongly reconsider that those questions and that type of influence out there on crypto Twitter might be freaking horrible advice. It might be the last thing you want to consider right now. All right, and this shit's real. I mean, it in terms of being a strong possibility. The possibility is real, folks. All right, and I have made an origin wave theory that kind of suggests against this. However, this is another potential option here. And if you did not see my origin wave theory, that does suggest with very strong evidence that this case won't be the case that ends up happening. You might want to click this video right here. And if you missed my last Bitcoin analysis, click this video right here. And if you're new to my channel, hit the circle in the middle to subscribe. You just got 𝐶𝐻𝑚ified worldwide. Peace.